Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome everybody to the monthly Town of Milton Board meeting. Today is September 27th. The time is 6:30. I'd like to get the meeting started with the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilman Jackson.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Councilman Isaacson.
Present.
Councilman Froelich.
Present.
Councilwoman Kern.
Present.
Councilman Blaisdell.
Present.
Supervisor Ostrander.
Present. First on the agenda is a motion to accept the regular board meeting minutes from August 23rd, 2023.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Councilman Isaacson.
I'll abstain. I was absent and unable to review those minutes.
Councilman Froelich.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kern.
Yes.
Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander.
Yes. The time now is 6:31. We'll be opening up a public hearing for Charter Communications. Brenda, will you read the notice?
I didn't grab it. I'm sorry. Here we go. All right. Please take notice that the Town of Milton will hold a public hearing on September 27th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. at the Town Office, 503 Geyser Road, Boston Spa, New York, regarding renewal of the cable television franchise agreement by and between the Town of Milton and Spectrum Northeast LLC, an indirect subsidiary of Charter Communications. A copy of the agreement is available for public inspection during normal business hours at the clerk's office, 503 Geyser Road, Boston Spa, New York. At such public hearing, all persons will be given an opportunity to be heard. Written and oral statements will be taken at that time. Time limitations may be imposed for each oral statement if necessary.
Thank you, Brenda. The public hearing is now open. If anybody in the audience would like to speak on behalf of the public hearing on Charter Communications. Yes, ma'am. Right up to the podium here and this, please.
Hi, I'm Marion Pitzis from 516 Elk Circle in the town of Milton. I just have more of a question. Spectrum just recently raised their rates yet again. They did give a discount of $6 for the short time when we were unable to get certain services because of the Disney company raising their rates or whatever that was about. And I just wonder if there's any other options or if the town has looked at other options, such as Verizon Fios. Some of the other towns in the area are doing other things with other companies, and I just hate to see us renew Spectrum's contract without looking at other options. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the audience like to speak? Hearing none. Brenda, anybody on Zoom?
Nope.
Hearing none on Zoom, a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Councilman Isaacson.
Yes.
Councilman Froelich.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kern.
Yes.
Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander.
Yes. Next on the agenda, public comment period number 1. Public comment period number 1 is on agenda items only. Anybody in the audience like to speak on the agenda items only at this time? Hearing none. Brenda, anybody via Zoom? Public comment number 1 is now closed. First is a presentation by the Historical Structures and Places Committee. Mike, good evening. How are you?
Thank you. Thank you, Supervisor Ostrander. I have the privilege tonight of presenting an award, which we give every year in September, to a resident or member of the community who has made efforts to preserve the history of our town through its historic structures and buildings. And basically our charge is to recognize these people with the Heritage Award. And as part of this committee, I work with Allison Saul, Karen Stalters, Jeremy Baird, who's unfortunately Jeremy's not here, and Jim Richmond. And we just go through the variety of homes or structures in the town that we deem worthy of receiving the award. And this year, we're going to recognize the Stomping Ground, which is a new organization in our town. I think year before last it started. Okay. Previously it was the Boy Haven Boy Scout Camp, and part of that area includes a very historic house called the Frink House, which was built in 1820. John Munter, who actually purchased the property from the Boy Haven Boy Scout Camp several years ago, was looking for a worthy organization to reinvigorate that space, that area, and the Stomping Ground was actually one of the places that John approved of, to come and basically continue educating of young people and things like that in our community. So again, the Boy Scouts left, but the whole purpose of this place is still continuing today, through the efforts of the Stomping Ground. Tonight we have Laura Kriegel, who's the director of the Stomping Ground, and Dylan, who's one of her assistants. What held you? Yes, maintenance assistants, as well as George, George couldn't make it tonight. But these guys are essential in maintaining the place and getting it back up to speed, and they did a beautiful job of restoring the Frink House. So, I mean, that's why we're here tonight. Now, what I want to do is I want to actually read a brief history of the house for the people here today. So, if you just bear with me for a few minutes, I'm going to read it right off there. It's a lot of words. All right. So, I call it the Frink House, aka the Stomping Ground. For almost 100 years, the large white house on Boy Haven Road and the surrounding forest lands have been a place of camaraderie and fun for thousands of Boy Scouts of the Capital District region. The 378-acre Camp Boy Haven was established in 1924 as one of the longest operating Boy Scout camps in New York State. In October of 2018, conservation-oriented local businessman John Munter Sr. of Middle Grove bought the former Boy Scout camp in an effort to preserve it. In March of 2022, New York State purchased a parcel of 219 acres of land from Mr. Munter and added to the Middle Grove State Forest in the town of Milton to the state's Environmental Protection Fund. The remaining parcel of 70 acres and the large old house had also come under the new ownership and continued as a stomping ground under Executive Director Laura Kriegel. It would continue as a place for recreation, for camping, and other outdoor activities for young people. Under the direction of Ms. Kriegel, with the invaluable assistance of Mr. Munter, saving the Frink House became a priority of the preservation efforts. We now have the honor of recognizing their efforts in historic preservation and conservation with the presentation of the Town of Milton Heritage Award for 2023. The house we see today was originally built by Isaac Frink about 1820, with its mixture of Federal and Greek Revival architectural features. This structure stood as the home of 3 generations of the Frink family. The story of this old house actually starts with Henry Frink, Isaac's father, and his wife Desire Palmer, who migrated from Stonington, Connecticut at the conclusion of the Revolutionary War. They settled on the heavily wooded parcel of 180 acres along the Katerossus Creek, purchased from Dirk Lefferts. Henry Frink operated a sawmill on the Katerossus and also served as supervisor of the town in 1800 to 1801. He expanded his holdings with the continued purchase of land in the towns of Milton and Greenfield. At the death of Desire in 1789, Henry remarried to Hannah Hewitt and raised 12 children, 5 from his first marriage. Their son Isaac was born in 1799 while living in Milton. Upon Henry's death in 1810, Isaac inherited the farm in Milton. At age 33, Isaac married Charlotte Rowland, daughter of Isaac Rowland of Rowland's Mills. The couple had only one daughter, Fanny, who married William Ingram, a fire insurance agent from Herkimer County. Isaac was a very successful farmer, and by 1865 had over 400 acres of land, about 200 being a pasture, 50 acres of meadow, and 70 acres of crops, much of which was Indian corn, potatoes, and oats. Yearly, he churned as much as 600 pounds of butter and maintained an apple orchard of 100 trees on 10 acres. He also raised beef cattle with a herd numbering about 75 in 1870. He also raised thoroughbred horses, but he's most known for breeding a type of red hogs he called Durkos, being a more compact version of the Jersey Red Hogs. Additionally, Isaac served in a number of public service positions throughout his life. He served as overseer of the highways, constable, assessor, town supervisor of Milton, commissioner of schools, and Saratoga County Sheriff. He also had various positions in the Baptist Church and was director of the Ballston Spine National Bank. Isaac died on July 12, 1877, after a short illness, and was buried in the cemetery donated by his father, known as Spring Cemetery. A few years later, the family relocated to Saratoga Springs to be closer to Isaac's son-in-law's business, and he and Fanny leased the farm and plans to operate a large dairy farm to supply the large hotels in Ballston and Saratoga with milk and butter. In 1908, Fanny Frank Ingram sold the farm to Albert Garrison. In 1924, the property came under the control of the Schenectady County Council of the Boy Scouts of America as Camp Boyhaven. In 1991, Camp Boyhaven was utilized by the Cub Scouts and Webelos, and the Schenectady Council merged with the Twin Rivers Council, forming a district that reaches up to the Canadian border. And as I said, today it's now the home of the stomping ground. And the Frink House is still the headquarters for that organization, and we hope it continues there for a long time. At this point, I'd like to have Laura and Dylan come up and have Supervisor Ostrander acknowledge their efforts by presenting them with the plaque.
It's awesome. So I just want to say we've been up there several times with Laura. They've done an amazing job there. This year we wanted to get our summer camp kids up there, but unfortunately it was raining and we couldn't get that together. But you guys have done an outstanding job in that house. I saw it when I thought it was a tear-down state, and then when I came back and met with you, I'm like, oh my God, this is unreal. You guys have done an outstanding job, and part of the town of Milton is that we give this prestigious award away to an individual and or business, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce the Town of Milton 2023 Heritage Award to Camp Stomping Grounds.
Thank you.
We also have a binder that I basically, or our committee created.
Yes.
Which basically is a lot of documentation of the history of the Frank Farm, the Boyhaven Boy Scout Camp, and now the Stomping Ground. So it's got basically 3 chapters of information. So biography, stories that we've collected in various files downstairs, which are overflowing. Yeah. We also will be placing this with the other award winners. And there you guys are in the front.
Oh,
this is
that's great.
Finished product.
There's the finished product. This is the restoration of the house. Oh, sorry.
Thank you.
And lastly, I'm sorry, Scott. This will also will bear the Frank House, aka the stomping ground. Here, we held basically hung here at the town hall, so everybody can see. There's with all the other members. This started in 2005.
Yeah.
2005 we started this. This is our second board already.
Second board, yeah.
Yeah. So. Oh yeah, I'm done now. Sorry, Scott.
So I would like to ask Laura, Dylan, and Mike, along with the board, if we could get a quick picture of them.
Do I have these guys up too?
Absolutely.
Committee members, come on.
You guys want to join us?
Hey. You guys can sit here in front of us. This is the fun stuff about being a supervisor, right?
Okay, I have 13 resolutions. Do you want to stick around?
You're gonna have to back up.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go somewhere, all right? Okay.
Go in the back.
How's John? John.
John.
Okay. John.
Mr. O'Leary.
Right away.
Yes. Thank you.
I just want to make mention to the kids actually create this little thing. Because we told the Yeah, we told the Laura that they were the award, the kids made this for us, and so we had it hang in the hallway for quite a long time. Thank you, guys.
Lauren, John, if you want to pack up, it's going to be quite a long meeting. We appreciate your comment.
We got kids at camp still, so we gotta go.
Take your time.
Thank you.
Mike, you and your committee, outstanding job
Thank
for your
you.
presentation. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Okay, bye. All right, bye.
See you later, Mayor. Bye, Allison.
Next on the agenda is a presentation by Lynn Berube on Route 29 land conveyance, possibly to the town of Milton. Good evening, Lynn. How are you?
Good evening to everyone. I think this is new for me because this is a project in progress, and it's a project that of you folks preserve buildings, I preserve land. So my function here is to speak to you because I've already spoken to the board, and especially this is a live using the photos. This is the background. Okay, these are photos. Okay. Okay, so yeah. All right. So my name's Len Berube, and I live in Glenville. I used to live in Saratoga from 1978 to 1984. I bought a piece of property in 1984. We'll go through the history of that.
Len, can you please speak into the microphone?
Yes, thank you. Anyway, let me do this a little bit so I can see the folks. Anyway, what I'd like to do, first of all, is to give you an idea of what the property that I'm talking about is, which I wish to donate to the town of Milton. There's 29.97 acres that have been in forestation since since actually the 1800s. It's been in agricultural use since the 1800s. And I bought the property in 1984. It was originally the property of Dr. and Mrs. Hunt. And it borders the properties of Mr. Munter and also Mr. Gallo on the north and Munter on the west. Let's see if I can bring this up so you can see what we're talking about. So this is basically the work. This is the property itself right now, as you look at it, and I'll get into a little bit more detail with that. These are basically my work trails that I put in there over a period of since 1984. And hopefully if we can get through this, I'll take a look at the history so that it makes it easier for you to follow through on this. But this is the piece of property, 29.97 acres. It's located just to the west of Stone Church Road and to the north of Route 29. Let's see if we can bring the other stuff on this here. Whoops, not this one. Need the photos. Whoops, not used to your machine.
Yep, click that,
Yeah,
and then you can use the arrows between your photos.
I don't see the photos on your Dave. You may have to help me out with this. I'm not familiar with your system, so I just want to bring up the Landsat photo of it. Let's see. Let's do the Landsat. No, we just did the same. Okay, so this basically is the property we're talking about. It's been in forestation since 1948, or even before that, from the 1800s. Basically, it's been agricultural. Primarily, from what I can see of the property, it was bordered with some fencing, original posting that had been in there, and possibly, most likely, agricultural, maybe farming to the point of sheep, and possibly cattle, but very limited. because the soil itself at that time was not conducive to that. In 1948, actually, if I can go from there to, we'll go to the PowerPoint, and let's see if we can find this. This is the history of the land since basically the 1800s. It was land used as agricultural farmland. It went into forest management in 1948. 1949 it went through a complete forestation of 240 acres. And from that point, it's been in woodland and woodlot use ever since. It was harvested one time in 1979 by the former owner, and then I purchased the property in 1984. I've been maintaining the property as a tree farm in continuance with Dr. Hunt's proposals and what he wanted to do. I spoke to his wife after he had died, and her idea was, if you buy the property, I'd like it to be maintained as forever wild or as in forest land as possible, and that's what I've done, and I continue to do that. In 1989, I had it certified as basically got involved with DEC to get it certified as a New York State tree farm. In 1989, that was done, the agreement was signed, and I've continued with that, and I continue with recertification of the property. In fact, this past weekend, I was assigned my 20-year sign from the Forest Owners Association, but I'm actually 40 years into maintaining the property as a tree farm. And it continues to that point today. In 2003, DEC Forest Stewardship Plan was established, and at that point, John Hastings, the DEC forester, senior forester, helped me set up all this organization. And then finally, in 2003, we were thinking about possibly doing a harvest, a selective harvest to improve the stand. But the market crashed as far as values of timber, and so John and I talked about it, and the comment was, what the heck am I doing here? John and I talked about it, so he said it would be, if I continued without doing any harvest, it would not do anything to the tree farm, and actually it has not. From that point on to 2023, a second timber survey was done, because at this point I was proposing to the town board to possibly donate the land to the town as a forever wild, or use it as a community park. I'm at the point where financial planning from my financial advisors suggested if I use an 82-83 form of a charitable land donation, it's excellent financial planning. It's not escaping taxes. It's a way of managing one's personal accounts. And consequently, by doing this, it serves the public in general. What does it give you? It gives you something that's basically free to you to use, but you become the owners of the property. In other words, now I pass on the title to you folks, and you now administer it as a community park, with the benefit of it being that you can sell off some of the timber to offset the cost of owning the park and managing it. So my concept here is to try to get an indication for you folks. I know that the board membership is in favor of this, but the community at large has to be the ones that respond and say, do we want this? I don't know. I don't know. And so I'm here asking you, part of the community, that's why you're here, because you're diligent and sensitive coming to attend board meetings and understand what's going on in the community. And this is important because feedback from you gives feedback to these folks, gives feedback to me, so that we can move forward. Now, let me see what else we got on here. So, my management goals have been over time, was from this, as a tree farm, was to, especially from the surveys that have been done, by two qualified foresters. First one, John Hastings, and the other one who worked with DEC. The other one is Bob Price with Saratoga Land. He's basically on the conservation side, and he does work with foresters and harvesters. So I had him, and he offered his work for me for free. Didn't cost me anything to do that, to give me a stumpage evaluation of what the timber stand is worth. I need to know that, and you need to know that. All right? I've said to the board members that I would be completely transparent on this. I don't hide anything. I don't wish to make any money on this. But I want to use this as a financial vehicle that I can offset my personal financial needs. So, if we look at this and looking through the forest management goals that I've set up for this, the survey data supports benefit of long-term site work plan. The work plan supports New York State wildlife and biodiversity initiatives. The forest provides remediation for hydrocarbon-based pollution. The water filtration enhances Cateros watershed. Forest management enhances timber growth, which is of value to you if you take over the property. You can sell off timber to offset the cost of running the place. Field data indicates that the timber stand is self-sustaining, which it is. It will take care of itself. Because I've made sure that with using good help from seasoned individuals who know the timber industry, and I grew up on a 1,200-acre tree farm in northern Maine. I went to engineering school in University of Maine in Orono in timber management and forestry, so I understand how to manage forests. And I understand also that we cannot continue to develop land. We just cannot do it. We have to come to a point of saying we have to put a halt on a lot of the stuff that we're doing with massive land developments. But I want you to understand that for me, in 40 years of investment in the land and maintaining the land, I haven't drawn 1 red cent out of that piece of property. Not one. All right? Whereas people who have developed their lands have made fortunes on selling homes, multi and complex buildings and that kind of stuff. They've made a lot of money on it. That's not what I'm after. It's not what I'm after. I want something that's sensible, that will have a future, that you don't have to spend money to maintain it. It takes care of itself. So, in 2023, when Bob Price did a study for me, it indicated that the timber tallies are of incredibly high value. They really are. It's astounding what it's worth. It blew me away. It really did, Scott. All right? I did not share those numbers because I think that's privy to me, but at some point I will be transparent with those numbers. I didn't want that out in the open until the community comes to an agreement with you folks and say, yes, we want that piece of property. Okay, so let's move on to other items. Current land use options for me. For me, all right? You have to understand it. Not the community and not the town, but me. What I can do with it, all right? The site location is ideal for land development initiatives. In other words, I could put multi-height housing on it. I can afford to do it, but I don't want to, all right? I've been approached by a number of companies wanting to develop the land. Big bucks. Big bucks. Not interested. Point number 2, footprint is ideal for passive solar lease facilities. I've been haunted by these people about wanting to use that piece of property because it's ideal. It has a true north, south, east, west location, which is ideal for a solar farm. The orientation of that is from the lower eastern side, goes from 453 feet above sea level to 510 feet above sea level to the northwest of the property. It's completely surrounded by rock walls. That's been done by whoever did that work. I have to admire the work they did. It's phenomenal. You don't find that in many pieces of property. Okay? The timber volumes on this are ideal for high-grade timber harvest. Big bucks. It really is. It'll surprise you. Continue, on my part, continue long-term use as private New York State tree farm. I can afford to own it. I can afford to pay the taxes on it, which I've just done today. It's done. All right? Donate the farm to town of Milton for a community park. Does that make sense? I think it does. I think it does. Because the properties around me were recently harvested and they made one hell of a mess in there. Unbelievable what they did in there. Unbelievable. Anyone who does forestry that way should not be allowed to do forestry, period. If you've taken a look at that at the end of Middle Line Road, take a right on Route 29 and see that back area, that property is not owned by me, but as soon as you go by that, an eighth of a mile on the left, that's where my tree farm is. I've never posted it, and I refuse to post it. I refuse to have signs on my piece of property. It should be shared with everyone, like the Native American Indians that lived here. They took care of the land, but they shared it. My heritage is Native American, and I believe in that. So, the last point on this is Tree Farm provides for long-term financial planning. That involves me, involves you, and you, the community. I'm not trying to pillage you. I want to be fair with you. I want to be open-minded. I want you to be open-minded. Help me make something happen. Okay? Let's go to point number 6 here. What does it do for the town of Milton? What does it do for you? How many open spaces do you have around here where you can walk freely with your dogs? Or you can be away from noise? You can enjoy the ambiance of being in the forest? It's not destroyed. There's good walking trails. We'll show on this thing with the first one, with the walking trails that are in there. I'm getting old. I've been working on that piece of property all by myself. And it's hard for me not to keep maintaining. I'm nearly blind in my right eye, but I still enjoy being there. So, what does it provide for you folks? Provides a local parkland for community use. Donation provides zero cost to the community. You're not paying for it. Federal government is giving me the option to give it to you. Can't I have that option? Can't you accept this option that helps you folks? I think it does. All right, next item. It meets federal and New York State forest preservation focuses. That's critical because if your communities don't start thinking about these things, people are going to move somewhere else. It meets New York, New York Department of Economic Conservation, Environmental Conservation criteria for land conservation grants. This is now active. $3 million are on the table available for communities like you to have access to support this entity. It's available. All right? It meets hydrocarbon sequestering objectives. What does that mean? All the pollution that's in the air, we're being bombarded with that. My tree farm has been producing oxygen for all of us since I've taken care of it, and it continues to do that. All right? It meets the Ross watershed conservation focus. If we don't start taking care of our waters, and with the fact that we're seeing climate change that we're seeing now, and forest fires are going to occur, if we don't take care of water, if we don't care of our forest land, and also agricultural land where you can farm something on it. It's not all developing these things and just making more houses, more houses, more houses. It doesn't work. It's been proven it doesn't work. Germany now is 87% solar efficient. I don't particularly care for solar farms because they have to be in the right place. This is not a place to put a solar farm. It's not. And as far as I'm alive, there will not be a solar farm. Preserves New York State forest biodiversity and wildlife habitats. I've made sure that there are stacks of wood and detritus that small insects and that kind of stuff and rodents can live, because that's what we need to feed our forests. Last item, provides timber income to maintain a community park. If you turn this into a community park periodically, right now the land itself is ready for a massive timber harvest because I'm beyond the level, and it should really be harvested. I hate to say that, but it really does. But in time, every 8 to 10 years, you can continue to take a selective harvest out of it, and it will pay for the cost of running the place. It really will. All right? Let's go down the list here some more. We've got a few more. I just want to make this short as possible. All right. Current land use valuation. This is important for you to understand. If you look at what I've put up on here, okay, you can see these items. From 1984 to 2023, my expenses to own, operate, and keep the place going is $97,501. That's, today I paid my taxes, that's included in that number. All right? I've not received 1 penny of benefit. Farmers can produce apples, they can produce corn, they can have animal husbandry, they can sell their animals and their products. I don't. It takes 60 to 80 years to grow a tree farm and make it profitable. I'm at that point, but I'm too old. All right? So if you look at the farmland purchase in 1984, I paid $22,424 for it. That's what I paid for it. I'm being very open. You can source it out. All right? The land and school taxes, 1984 to 2023, $32,469. That's what I paid. I'm a citizen. I pay my dues. All right? Farm operating equipment, that includes machinery to make my trails, cut down dead trees, put them onto piles where, they, over time they sublimate and go back into the forest. Well, you need equipment to work on a farm. I bought it. I paid for it. Town didn't. You didn't. But I continue producing oxygen and remediating water for you at no cost. Cost to me, but not to you. Anyway, I'm being a little bit sarcastic here. So, all right, so if we're looking at this, the tree farm standing timber estimated value, all right, this is based on the number that I got originally from Mr. Price is a portion of that because there was only 14 plots or 14 acres that were assessed. Now, if the property was completely harvested, completely, the minimum right now would be somewhere about $500,000 what I would be getting out of there. To me. That excludes the cost for the harvester to take it out of there. All right? But the thing I want you to understand is that value, if this piece of property transfers to you, is yours. It's yours. The other thing is, the tree farm appraised vacant land. This was done by Saratoga, I can't recall the name of the land, yeah. They're assessors. They assess houses. They assess industrial facilities. But when it comes to agricultural products and agricultural farms, they're not experts in this. They just are not. They don't understand what it takes to run a tree farm. They say, oh yeah, you're making a lot of money on this. I haven't made a penny. All right? The other item on this is, if I were to sell this land on a passive solar farm, I've been approached, and they're right off the bat, they blah, 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 they give you this amount of money, $179,000 for 29 acres. Are they nuts? Barb's laughing. Are they nuts? They are. All right? The next item under that is a 40-year lease value as a solar farm. Now these are real numbers. I have paperwork supporting this, all right? In 40 years, this piece of property in rent lease, or lease rent, I say, would be valued at $1,759,000. $900, what I, 760,000. Whatever, a lot of money. Now, what if I took $25,000 40 years ago and invested? This is my financial advisor. We did based on 40 years of just compound interest and also being involved in minor stock. What would it be worth? Right now, today, as of last week, he gave me these numbers. $1,296,000, that is, and $515. So, I could have taken that money and invested it somewhere else, but I invested in that piece of property partially because I enjoy forestry. The other thing is that comes under this is mineral rights. Mineral rights because of this area, and I spent a great deal of my time all over the world installing power plants, working in chemical plants, working in oil fields. And this place is a gold mine. This whole area is a gold mine. The sulfur springs right here in Saratoga, anywhere there's sulfur, underneath that, maybe 1,500 feet to 2,500 feet, there's oil and gas. Don't kid yourself. Don't kid yourself. Your properties here are very valuable. So when you see these land developers coming over and say, oh yes, I'll buy this, I'll buy that, and blah, 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 be mindful. Be mindful. And also be mindful of people who want to cut timber. If you have timberland, be mindful of people who want to come in and cut your timber. problematic. All right, so let's go down and see if we can get some conclusions so you folks can continue with your meeting. Here we go. All right, concluding statements, because I don't want you to be bored. What are the benefits for a long-term transfer of this property to you folks? The donation is a charitable transfer to the town of Milton. In other words, there's some legal aspects of this that have to be taken care of, and there's procedures, all right? Because it has to go through the hands of tax assessors, has to go through the hands of lawyers, has to go through the hands of New York State and federal government, because tax, IRS and all that stuff, it's a nightmare. But anyway, it's doable. Second point, meets town planning objectives for parklands. Do you want parklands? You want a community place where you can walk freely without anybody, molesting you or doing whatever it is. Meets federal and New York State initiatives for conservation. Which it does. Meets Cateros watershed protection focus. Provides wildlife habitat and forest biodiversity needs. Meets IRS requirements as a charitable donation. Donation recordable on donor IRS tax form 8283, which I have to produce, but I need support from the town and the assessor to put up a number which is we can use as evaluation. So that's where the assessor and us and you folks need to come up and say, what is it worth to us? Can I take what we feel is reasonable and use that on a form 8283? I think it's doable. All right? And what it does is it provides also a long-term community planning option for you folks. That's what it really does. Because there's federal funds available, New York State and the federal government that will help you get this help you get this done. But my advice to the board is, and I'm not sure if you have a person like this, is someone who's a grant writer. My suggestion would be to you is hire a grant writer on a part-time basis. Go to Skidmore in their financial group, someone who wants to get a master's in financial planning. This is an ideal tool for them to use to become working with you on a part-time basis, and they will bring you tons of money back at a minimum cost. And if you don't use this ability, these people they're crackerjacks at writing the right words, using the right forms, and going to the source of where you can get funding for this. And I want you to win. I don't want this to be developed. I don't want this to go into a solar farm. I have a packet like this now of people coming in with wanting to turn the place into a solar farm, and it is ideal for it. The slope of the land, the profile of the land is just absolutely ideal for it. It's got a power line right next to it, quick access to a road. It's dry, it's easy to build on. And same thing for developing the piece of property for housing development. Even if there's limitation that it's being ruled, it's still, what do you call that? You can also always get an exception. Somebody with a lot of money can do that. I don't want it developed. I would prefer to pass it on and say, enjoy what I have enjoyed over all these years. So, first and foremost, I really want to take the time to thank a number of people here. Scott, especially, Bart, and certainly Dave, who has been driving this, and we've been in constant communication. I know all these folks are super busy, and I appreciate your openness to allow me the opportunity to talk to you folks. And like I say, if there's a way we can make this happen, I'll work with you if you work with me, and the community works with us to make it happen. All right? The last part of it, I have not come up with a number of which I want to present to all of you, because I want feedback to understand that this is a positive thing. That's what I want to happen. If you can give feedback to these folks get back to me, then we're all on the same page and we'll move forward with this, believe me. It's not an element of having to have this done right now or tomorrow. It can go into the next spring if we have to. We need working time to get this done. There's going to be a lot of legalese and writing to be done, but I'm giving you the time. I have the time. I'm nearly blind in my right eye, so I'm gonna have to leave in a few minutes. Otherwise I sit and jawbone with you. All right, but it's part of having been in the military, so that's the way things are. But anyway, folks, thank you, thank you, thank you. Please, please think about this. Talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors, talk to the community, and above all, support these folks, because they're going to be the feedback to me, okay? Thank you for your courtesy to let me be here to speak to you. Thank you.
And I want to thank you for your generosity also to this town, and looking into the future. And I was laughing because, you know, owning land myself, you know how many yaks I've heard.
Yeah.
And that's all they want is development or solar or something. And this is a great opportunity for the town. Thank you.
You're welcome. There's a lot of pressure from developers to do something with that land. And it's not in my blood or my system to do that. I have, just as a quick add-on, I have a niece who lives in Vermontville. She's an organic farmer, and she's been an organic farmer now for probably 20 years. And she told me, she says, Uncle Lenny, she says, I just have too much. I would love to pass this piece of property, but shoving between two pieces of property doesn't make sense. But a community park for you folks makes good sense to me. So think it over, all right? Thumbs up? I'll keep preserving too. All right? All right, Dave, I guess, yeah. I'll just need to bring this beastie back. I had brought this along here. This is basically my work trails, and this is what we showed up a little while ago of the property is right up here. So, and this oh, but anyway, got the work trails up. But this is the work trail. This is basically 40 years of work. All right, 40 years of work, and I have protected. I have trees over there that are over 400 years old. Should we throw those away? No. Should they be cut and made into toothpicks? No. No. Because I have turkeys, wild turkeys, I have American eagles, I've had a Canadian, what do you call those big guys? White, they're owls, Canadian owls. They're perching on those big oak trees. Yeah. So anyway, I've got to get out of here because I know we got to meeting. But anyway, thank you everyone.
Thank you.
And especially the board. Thank you. Barb, thanks.
Have a good night. Thank you.
Dave, thanks for keeping this going, okay? Appreciate it. Yeah. You're lucky. Be well. I'm sorry I have to go because I can't drive at night. You're welcome. Thank you. Help me help you. Okay. Thank you. You have a lovely place to walk. Oh, thank you, sir. And you'll have a gorgeous place to walk. Believe me, it's cool. These folks have been. And it's smelling nice. There's acorn. Hickory that smells like persimmon. Good night, everyone. Thank you for your courtesy to let me come and speak to you. Help me help you, please.
Next on the agenda is a presentation of visual renderings prepared by Delaware Engineering, DPC, for the preliminary highway department facility at 459 Round Street and the master site plan for 503 Geyser Road. Delaware Group, good evening.
Good evening.
It's all yours.
All right, so we're excited to be here, everyone. I'll do a little brief introduction, tell you how we got to where we are. Adam's going to talk a little bit about getting to this visualization, and then we have what we think is a pretty cool video of what this site could look like in the future. So I'm Mary Beth Bianconi. I'm a partner with Delaware Engineering. This is Adam Gelski. He's one of our senior planners, and this is Cody Messier. He is a senior structural engineer with our firm. So we're located down in Albany. We've been working with the town now for a little over a year on a number of different assignments, but two of the most interesting assignments we were working on. One was to assist the town in understanding all of the buildings that they own. So a little over a year ago, we embarked on the process of inventorying the buildings and properties and things that the town owns. looking at, what is it, where is it, what is the condition assessment, are there needs, are there things that should be done to help with capital planning, to help the town understand how all of the properties that the town own kind of fit together to improve and enhance the quality of life here in Milton. Another assignment that was part of that was to look at the longstanding concept of creating a highway complex just up the street here. Folks are aware that a number of years ago, the salt shed that was formerly located on this site was relocated up the road here, and that property is a fairly large property, and the plan all along had been to relocate the balance of the highway facilities up to that property, which would then, if you think about it, leave a lot of land here on kind of the town hall complex site. And the question is, what would you do with that land? So we did a couple things. We evaluated how to configure a site for a new highway facility that would meet the needs of the highway department and also be very forward-looking. We evaluated that site in terms of all of its environmental features. We also looked really carefully at configuring that site for safety. If you have ever been at a highway facility during any kind of a capital project, or particularly during a snowstorm at 2 o'clock in the morning in February, it's a busy place, and so we were really focused on those issues there. And then once we had this vision of a lot of room here to do some really neat things, we had some public engagement, which Adam's going to go through, and we came up with some really neat ideas. So with that background, I'm going to turn this over to Adam.
Thank you, Mary Beth. Thank you, Mr. Supervisor, members of the board. Some of this is going to be a little bit of a recap from, as Mary Beth said, from our prior, I think in December, we were here to talk through the condition assessment results. So the focus is on it. We've been sort of branding this as Reimagine Milton, and the effort, really that Reimagine Milton effort is rooted in the opportunities that are going to be possible, substantial opportunities, as Mary Beth said, by relocating the highway garage away from this centrally located parcel here in town, and what opportunities are available. And so the story starts with the highway garage relocation, which, as Mary Beth said, begins from the facilities assessment. I'm not going to, I wrote down a bunch of the different issues and stuff, but essentially the cold storage building and this, which is the blue building out here, and the highway, the 1967 highway garage attached here, have pretty substantial issues, and our recommendation to the town was that they be demolished and replaced. The cold storage building leaks. The 1967 garage has some issues with the way the utilities are run through it, as well as it doesn't meet the town's programmatic requirements either. It's inefficient as well in terms of its heating and conditioning. The adjacent 1994 block building, highway garage building, we found it to be in fair condition, but again, there are some issues with cracking both of the block and of some of the support structures for various reasons. So that, again, given its relationship to the 1967 building and some of the challenges with it being a standalone building on the site, that we also recommended that building be demolished and replaced. And so that's those were the kind of the key recommendations, and then based on those, those findings and recommendations, the town board is now in the process of embarking on a multi-phase effort to relocate those facilities, which is a long-planned effort. And here's the site. It's just north, about a little bit more than half a mile here up the road. As Mary Beth mentioned, there's a salt shed here. The department uses it for storage and laydown area of certain implements and stuff. So, but it's about an 8-acre site, has good drainage, adjoins the airport, has access to public water and sewer. So part of the task, our assignment, as Mary Beth mentioned, was to confirm and revalidate some of those earlier recommendations. So as part of that effort, we worked with the highway department to assess their business requirements and came up with a program for the facility, and then that drove the selection, the size of the buildings, and the site elements. And just quickly here, this is Rowland Street. This is the village water supply access. Oh, I'm sorry. The mouse isn't showing up. Here we go. The airport's back here. So the key elements of the site are the salt shed is existing, so we had to work around that. A high priority is to relocate the fuel island, which has some challenges. So that's part of this project, to build a new fuel island, to basically relocate the blue cold storage building and preserve that functionality for the department. And then we have also the kind of the key site feature is a combination 24,000 square foot highway garage with a 100-foot clear span, so it's all open inside. There's a 3,000 square foot office that you can see this sort of bump out here, close to Rowland, and then there's also about a 1,200 square foot wash bay for, to keep essentially to maintain the equipment, keep the salt off the trucks. One of the things that we've done is work with the facilities committee, but also engage with some local stakeholders, including several members of the land development community relative to the siting and the site design, and we've incorporated, we've gotten some pretty valuable feedback.
Planning board.
And the planning board, excuse me, yeah, the planning board as well. So that this design, the layout here, reflects all of that input received to date. One of the other things, a couple other elements, as Mary Beth mentioned, this would be a working facility, a pretty busy facility in certain times of the year. All of the year, I'm sure. Jason would attest. The current installation serves as kind of a transshipment point for people to bring debris from their yard or to grab materials for snow and ice traction. So we preserved that functionality and sort of separated the public and highway functions. Kind of not visible on here, but along the fence, one of the things we're leaving open is an option for a multi-use path to connect. There's a fairly substantial development plan for the parcel immediately south. And if we connect that parcel and development with parts to the north and east, it would be a real win in terms of multimodal accessibility and mobility in the town down to the main business center. So one of the other things I wanted to touch on here, there's options for the building design itself. Again, listening to stakeholder input, reviewing the town's zoning guidelines. We've come up with a series of 3 options. Essentially based on the appearance of the building from Rowland and how it, this is a big building. This is going to be, it's 40 foot high?
It's, 32 feet high, and its overall footprint is 240 by 100.
So it's a big structure, and so that first concept on the left is just it's basically that 240 for, and a standard gable roof. It looks like one building with the office kind of, part of it, along Rowland. So in thinking through this a little bit and getting feedback, the 2 other concepts to the middle and then to the far right try to break up that roof line and provide sort of some relief from the mass of that building. Also to kind of hook up to and work with the town center guidelines for some of the architectural treatments and stuff like that that are recommended in there. So the middle concept has a single slope roof, both slope going back toward into the property, which has some benefits in terms of gutters and snow stops and stuff like that. And it has a lower roof to the north. The higher elevation is needed for the mechanics bays to make sure that the lifts operate. And then the final concept preserves that multiple building height and different roof lines, but it has that gable end. These are options that one of the tasks we have been working on is visualizing the future of this site as well as the future of the 503 Geyser site. And so these are some of the products that came out of that effort. The final design is going to start this fall, that effort, and the selection of the which option is going to be driven by, it's going to be the town's decision. These have different costs, but they all preserve the interior functionality of no columns and an open, drive-through footprint. Just quickly, this is a multi-phase effort that the town had identified and had some funding set aside for some of these key elements, which is replacing the cold storage building and really getting that new fuel island, operational. So we're doing this as part of phase one. The town received bids a couple of weeks ago and have an agenda item tonight to consider making an award to the low bidders for electric and site work. So that's the other thing that you'll see up there is the site will be prepared for the full build out. Mostly there will be grading, stormwater management, and pavement will be placed as part of this phase. And this is kind of the site plan from our, it's a little hard to see, but the area in gray is kind of phase two. That'll be finished in phase two. The other areas are going to be pretty much finished, with the exception of the final paving in phase one. So that's the highway relocation project, which really brings us to kind of the main event, which is this parcel, which as Mary Beth said, this has been a really exciting project for us. I probably said this multiple times, having worked in local planning before. Towns, this kind of opportunity is a really unique one. This is a big piece of property right in the middle of town, and an opportunity to really create a future amenity for the town, really a credit to the planning and foresight that's kind of gone into this process. So the process, these are some of the details. We've gone through kind of a kickoff. We had a table at the Way We Were event about a year ago. We did a community survey, got pretty good responses relative to the town's population size. We have a project website that's still live. We distributed door hangers, did some leafleting, did a bunch of stakeholder interviews, including some follow-up, again, with the land development community folks. Now this is our second town board meeting to present some of our findings and recommendations. Another item on the agenda, on the board's agenda tonight, is adoption of the report that came out of the project Mary Beth mentioned earlier on to look at the future of this site. That report had kind of a programmatic concept for the site, but it was just some boxes. And so the facilities committee was like, we want to make this look nice. We want to see what's really possible here. So taking that direction and that feedback, I mean, without getting into the details of the feedback, which is in the report that's available on the town's website, the thrust of it was that the community and virtually everybody wanted public amenities. I mean, this is water, sewer. There's major grocery chain and other uses that sort of like to locate near each other. So commercial development is certainly an option. There's a lot of housing development, but that was sort of, that was not something that we heard. And so our direction was to expand on the amenities and build out that program. So Mary Beth is going to get into, we developed a visualization, sort of a 3D fly-through, and the report has an accompanying set of still 3D images from a few sites, a few select viewpoints around the site. But at a high level, there's additional town hall space. There's some municipal functions, the community center. Going further into the site, there's kind of a really large playground area, some gazebos which people for rent or for events. There's a gazebo here. There's the Milton Mile connectivity. Hard courts, community garden, dog park, retain the parking right. Having kind of Mary Beth will get into this. The parking concept is kind of bring people into the site. There's a multi-use field here that's that has a full-size track, would accommodate a football field. There's an outdoor performance space here with a pretty big lawn, retaining the baseball and pickleball courts down here. Some enhanced connectivity. So that, and the other thing too, and you'll see this in the renderings, is we wanted, part of the idea was this is parkland. So you want, when you drive by, you want to see, you want to see trees, right? You want to see, not necessarily obscure and screen what's going on, but kind of one of our touchstones again was sort of Saratoga Spa State Park and kind of the experience walking or driving through there. So without getting without more from me, we've got this video that I need to, I think, move to one of the screens, and this is that concept, but rendered out in 3D. And I may need to unmute. One second.
Alright, so this video is about 12 minutes long, so bear with us. It was longer, we had more. This kind of gives you a big overview of many of the elements.
You to microphone.
Thanks.
This gives you an overview of many of the elements that Adam just spoke about, but really the opportunity here was we did think a lot about Saratoga Spa State Park, and when you're driving through the park, what you're doing is driving through pine trees. You know you're in a park. You have that sense of this site, so that's one of the really important elements of this. Also connectivity, connecting to the neighborhoods around this site, planning the vehicular access so that, in a park, we don't want the almighty car to be running the show. We want the park elements. So this building here that's kind of on the right that we're going to pass is the new ambulance facility, and that's a pretty accurate picture of what that building is going to look like. We used their architectural plans. So that's our new ambulance facility, which is under construction right outside here. You'll see we maintained that sidewalk that runs along there. This next parking area here is the parking ride. One thing you'll see we added is a bus shelter because there isn't one there right now. The building on the right that's red with the metal roof is a new facility for maintenance for all of the park equipment. We have some hard courts here. We're looking at an option of being able to turn one of those hard courts into outdoor ice in the wintertime. It wouldn't have any refrigeration, but it would be flooded and it would freeze. There's some other local examples of that. Here we have our tennis courts and a community garden. Community gardens are really, really popular. There's a lot of communities that have those. We wanted to keep some interior green space. We have a lot of space that's just trees and grass for people to enjoy. You can see we have a pretty large area for playground, and you can envision that that playground would meet different needs from toddlers up to kids in maybe middle school. We have some pavilions that would allow people to rent space. We have bathrooms and water and power in the central building to make that a little bit more convenient. So here we are coming down along Geyser, driving by the new ambulance facility. This is kind of what that would look like if you're driving past. One thing that you'll notice as we keep going is that the entrance that you come in Town Hall does not exist anymore. We moved that entrance to be across the street from the road that goes up into where the grocery store is to create a T intersection. That is good planning practice. T intersections are safer. It also is going to act to slow traffic down on the Town Hall site, which is something that's very important. We don't want people speeding through here. This is like a 5-mile-an-hour zone. You're going to have a lot of activity, children, dogs, people walking and outside, so we wanted that to be an important site element. You'll see we added some crosswalks to permit people to walk from the sidewalks on the other side of the street. So this is, I think I remember where we go here. Up and around. So there's some new building here that doesn't exist today. One of the things that the town asked us to do was program some new space for an expansion of Town Hall and some additional space right here at the corner that announces that this is a public building. Here we are running back down, new building. This would be part of the expansion of Town Hall. Notice that we have not put a lot of architectural treatments here. The really intent of this is to kind of show what the site could be. If these buildings were to be built, there would be architectural treatments. This would be potentially a community center, which could have indoor spaces for things like gymnasiums, those kinds of things that would provide that year-round activity for the community. We're now seeing the back of what would be a performing arts area. So this is envisioned to be kind of like the one that's in Clifton Park, which is really just a structure that supports the performing arts. It'll have power, maybe not too many other things, but it seems like it's a need that's not met here in the community. And again, the idea here, we have a monoculture going on in our drawing here. It's all deciduous trees. This would all be landscaped. This just gives you an idea of what this would look like. Right now, you're kind of passing by what is now the playground and the fuel island. So you can see how different this space really is. This is looking into what would be a huge multi-use field that could accommodate football, but also soccer, lacrosse, other elements of outdoor play. The existing Milton Mile is here. This is an actual representation of what it really looks like today. We would expand the Milton Mile to connect more locations within this beautiful central facility, and again, increase that connectivity out into the community. Baseball diamond exists. We would add another pavilion out in that area, again, so that there's some more opportunities for people to have birthday parties or retirement parties or those kinds of things, or just get out of the sun in the shade. We designed this site with central parking, and the reason is because we wanted, again, this to be a park setting. So having the parking all along the road says to me it's a shopping mall, it doesn't say park. So we did design central parking. That also allows us to use the parking for all of the uses on the site and not to have separate parking for all the different uses. You see that gray area where there's some vehicles? That's permeable pavers. So that would allow the rainwater to go through. It's kind of overflow parking. It could also be a location where things like food trucks or other things like that might park. Calling this area here in front of this Performing Arts Center the Great Lawn. You could imagine having community events there. It's just an open space. It could be for people watching a concert or a show. It's also just a big green space. So this is our new main entrance into the site. It is designed, you'll see, with very skinny, narrow little spaces, and with this type of parking where cars will have to pull in and then back out. That's intentional. We want everyone to slow down on this site and drive very consciously through this site because there will be a lot of activity here. This is another view of that great lawn area. And then turning in this direction, this is a one-way road. Again, this is this concept of, we call it, in planning we call it traffic calming, but keeping the traffic moving slowly. We have this nice section here with decorative lighting, street trees. That's the Milton Mile going through. And then we have this central parking lot, which is the primary parking for the site. Our community garden over here on our right. The idea there is that many civic groups and other people would like to have an opportunity. You may get local restaurants who want to grow herbs for their tables, those kinds of things. There's a lot that could be done there. We have a fenced dog park. That's something that we did hear from people that they were looking for. So this is sort of that meet and greet type of park. And the structure in front of us here is the site where the maintenance facility would be, where all of the equipment would be stored for maintaining not only this park, but the other parks in town as well. It's a little bit of a walk down a portion of the Milton Mile that exists right now. This is the pre-existing part of the Milton Mile. And then what we did was we created a huge loop to connect it all the way around what would eventually be this big multi-use field that would have a lot of flexibility. Again, could accommodate multiple sports, not all at once obviously, but would be large enough for football, lacrosse, soccer. It's not envisioned at this time that this would become, you know, for like a formal, like a little league or those kinds of things. It would be for community use. So it's that pickup game, it's those kinds of things, but that type of programming could come, you know, down the road. You can see in this how much green space is preserved. Right now, much of the space that we're looking at in this view is asphalt and buildings. So this is really reclaiming this property into a real gem for the community. A lot of green space and a lot of passive recreation and active recreation. It's a real combination. This is one of the favorite parts of the video where we walk through and into a beautiful new atrium. Kind of announces that this is an important public space. You can think about it, you've probably been to museums before, or other buildings that have this type of feature. And again, this could be a place for gatherings or art shows or anything you can imagine. We have a water wheel feature in this area. This is a courtyard for the town hall area. Some very lovely azaleas. Thank you, Cody. The pretty azaleas. And this is parking that would be really for the town hall area of the building. This building we're looking at is the existing building that we are in right now. That is our visualization.
Nice, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So that is our presentation for tonight. So I guess we'll conclude by saying a couple things about this. So this is a visualization. It's called a visualization for a reason. It's not a design. We don't have construction plans. We don't have any of these things. What we did was we took feedback from the public, from the facilities committee, from all of our different interactions, from the development community, and we took the land and we really planned with the land. We said, what does this land tell us would be the best way to organize and arrange the different elements that have been requested on this site. One of the kind of good news sides of this is you saw that there's an awful lot of just green space. A lot of just green space. There's also a fair amount of like courts and things that are made of asphalt and have chain link fences around them. The nice thing about those types of features is they're relatively easy to build, they're very inexpensive, and town foresters can build a lot of them with own resources. So, you know, there's some new buildings you saw, those would be a later kind of aspect of this. But there's a lot of this in terms of the site elements that are pretty straightforward and not, you know, not incredibly expensive to do. May even have some community groups who want to get involved. I know that in some of the neighboring towns, particularly for the playground facilities, there have been groups of people who have gotten together, worked as a small group, you know, to gain input from community, from stakeholders, for people who say have toddlers and want a place to take their toddlers, and then actually put together the plans and raised funds and constructed playgrounds. And that's been something that's been done largely through the region. So we should talk a little bit about kind of where does all this stuff go next. Adam referenced there are a few resolutions on the docket tonight having to do with the highway facilities in terms of the relocation of the fuel island and the cold storage building. That's in progress right now. Phase 2 of this project, which is the construction of a new highway garage up on the new site, is something that will be being discussed in the October meeting as well. That will go into design in late 2023 and 2024. Obviously, our highway folks are using all of these facilities until new facilities are built. So this vision that we have is not going to happen tomorrow on this site. It's out there in the future. But what we can anticipate is that once the opportunity presents itself, we talked to the town about, you know, some additional engagement with the public. And what we were thinking was that we would get together groups, we would do a you know, public engagement to get people who are interested in, for instance, a community garden. Let's get everybody together and have a meeting who might want to be involved in a community garden. That could be the Girl Scouts, the Boy Scouts, it could be, you know, local beautification committee, a bunch of neighbors, a bunch of restaurateurs who want to be able to grow food and do farm to table, whoever that is, and then have a visioning session. So what is this space? What should it look like? How big should the areas be? How should it be controlled? Should it be managed? We would do that. We could do the same thing for the hard courts. Is this, you know, the type of hard court that everybody wants to see? You know, is that enough space? So we can have that kind of a discussion. We can talk about the playgrounds, because I know there's always, we've done this in a number of communities, there's always parents have some really specific ideas about what's, you know, a quality playground for their kids. So those kinds of things would roll out in the future to help inform this vision and keep us moving forward. One of the things that Adam mentioned that I just want to stress is that the town has done some really, really good planning. None of this is new when we came on board. This was all things that had been discussed and thought about and planned for in the past, to the extent that even the cold storage and the fuel island facility, the town has the financial resources to do that project because they planned for it and they thought about it a long time ago and set that money aside. So I think the town is to be commended for a lot of foresight and for taking advantage of this opportunity to really, you know, we call this initiative Reimagine Milton, because it is really truly rethinking this public space and really bringing it together as a real value to the community. So I think unless there's questions from the board, that's our presentation for tonight.
Just one thing is an observation. This is something we still are looking for input on. Don't think this is all set in stone. We really want what you guys want. And this is just really the first step of it all.
Correct. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. I can get you a few minutes to tear it down and we'll continue. Next on the agenda is a motion to continue the public hearing on the Cesar Brothers PDD until October 25th, 2023.
Need a motion? I'll make that motion.
Any discussion? Councilman Isakson?
Yes.
Councilman Frolich?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr? Yes. Councilman Blaisdell?
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander?
Yes, next a motion to accept the Town of Milton 2024 tentative budget. It was presented to the board members and also to the town clerk. Any motion, please?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Was that Ryan or Doc? Any discussion? Councilman Isakson?
Yes.
Councilman Frolich?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr? Yes. Councilman Blaisdell?
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander?
Yes, next a motion to approve the budget workshop. The dates will be Thursday, October 12th, and Thursday, October 19th at 6 p.m.
I'll make that motion.
Second. Any discussion? Councilman Isakson?
Yes.
Councilman Frolich?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr? Yes. Councilman Blaisdell?
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander?
Yes, next a motion to schedule a public hearing on the zoning map amendment for parcel 352-356 Saratoga Avenue on October 25th at 6:30 p.m.
I'll make that motion.
Second. Any discussion? Councilman Isakson?
Yes.
Councilman Frolich?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr? Yes. Councilman Blaisdell?
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander?
Yes, next a motion to schedule a public hearing on the cannabis distribution sites in the town of Milton for October 25th at 6:35 p.m.
I'll make that motion.
Second. Any discussion? Councilman Isakson?
Yes.
Councilman Frolich?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr? Yes. Councilman Blaisdell?
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander?
Yes, next a motion to approve the request by Laura Minsky, Town Assessor, to attend the NYSAA Fall Convention on October 4th, 5th, and 6th in Saratoga Springs at a cost not to exceed $392.
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
Any discussion? Councilman Isakson?
Yes.
Councilman Frolich?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr? Yes. Councilman Blaisdell?
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander?
Yes, next resolution 78 of 2023. Resolution to accept report entitled Town Hall and Burgess Kimball Memorial Park Concept Site Planning Report prepared by Delaware Engineering, DPC, whereas the Town Facilities Committee had previously advised and recommended to the Town Board, then the Town Board agreed to proceed and work with a consulting engineer firm to provide additional advice and support to the Town Board and Town Facilities Committees to provide a report, recommendation, visual aids, and simulations to help illustrate the look of site once a particular proposed project is complete, with the purpose of consulting engineer assistance with the concept planning for the future Town Hall and Burgess Kimball Memorial Park properties, and now therefore be resolved, the Town Board hereby acknowledges the receipt and accepts the report entitled Town Hall and Burgess Kimball Memorial Park Concept Site Plan prepared by Delaware Engineer DPC, dated February 2023, and submitted to the Town Board on September 22nd of 2023. Now therefore be it resolved by the Town Board, Town of Milton, motion for Resolution 78.
So moved.
Second. Any discussion? Councilman Isakson?
Yes.
Councilman Frolich?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr? Yes. Councilman Blaisdell?
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander?
Yes, next resolution 79 of 2023, resolution to approve the proposal for special inspection services submitted by Advanced Testing. Whereas the town is in need of services provided for testing and construction materials and inspection services relating to the relocation and construction of the cold storage building fuel dispensing system at the town's new Brown Street Highway Garage Facility Complex, and now therefore be resolved that the Town Board, the Town of Milton, awards to and hires Advanced Testing of 3348 Route 208, Campbell Hills, New York, 10916, to provide testing and construction materials and inspection services relating to the construction of the town's Rollins Street Highway Facility at a cost per the fee schedule and service agreement attached hereto, and further hereby directs the town supervisor to take whatever steps are necessary to execute in the agreement between the Town of Milton and Advanced Testing for the above services, and to do all the needed and required, and to pay all amounts owed pursuant to such. Now therefore be it resolved by the Town Board, Town of Milton, motion for Resolution 79.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Councilman Isakson?
Yes.
Councilman Frolich?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr?
Yes.
Councilman Blaisdell?
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander?
Yes, next resolution 80 of 2023, resolution to approve the bid submitted by Bass Hatfield Construction LLC totaling $1,992,300 for the site work and foundation Phase 1 general construction contract for the Brown Street Highway Facility construction, whereas the town board and town highway department are in need of construction services to be provided for the relocation and construction of the cold storage building and fuel dispensing system to the town's new highway facility complex on Brown Street facility site, and now therefore be it resolved, the town board hereby awards to, appoints, hires Bass Hatfield Construction LLC of 1399 Crescent Vischer Ferry Road, Clifton Park, New York 12065 to provide construction services for site work and foundation Phase 1 general construction portion of the construction project for the town's new highway facility complex at Brown Street site at a cost not to exceed the sum of $1,992,300 plus miscellaneous additional costs, if any, all set forth on the attached proposal, and further authorizes the town supervisor to enter into and execute a contract and all other necessary required documents and pay all amounts due or to become due regarding the same. Now therefore be resolved by the town board, town of Milton. Motion for resolution number 80.
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
Any discussion? Councilman Isakson?
Yes.
Councilman Frolich?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr?
Yes.
Councilman Blaisdell?
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander?
Yes. Next, resolution 81 of 2023. Resolution to approve the bid submitted by Lee Court Companies Incorporated totaling $307,000 for the site work foundation Phase 1 electrical construction contract for the Brown Street Highway Facility construction. Whereas the town board and town highway department are in need of electrical services to be provided as part of the relocation and construction of the cold storage building and fuel dispensing system to the town Brown Street Highway Facility, and now therefore be resolved, the town board hereby awards to, appoints, hires LaCourt Companies Incorporated of 35 Maplewood Avenue, Albany, New York 12205 to provide construction services for the site work and foundation of Phase 1 electrical construction contract project for the town Brown Street Highway Facility at a cost not to exceed the sum of $307,000 plus miscellaneous additional costs, if any, all set forth on the attached proposal, and further authorize the town supervisor to enter into and execute a contract and all other necessary and required documentation and pay all amounts due or to become due regarding the same. Now therefore be resolved by the town board, town of Milton. Motion for resolution 81.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Any discussion? Councilman Isakson?
Yes.
Councilman Frolich?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr?
Yes.
Councilman Blaisdell?
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander?
Yes. Next, resolution number 82 of 2023, resolution to issue findings and a determination of governmental immunity from zoning in connection with renovations and expansion of the town of Milton Highway Facility Complex. Whereas the town board, town of Milton intends on expanding and renovating the existing highway facility complex located at 459 Ronald Street within the town, comprised of a single approximately 8.7 acre parcel of land on which is currently located at the town's salt shed and may it be further resolved that the town board, town of Milton, based on its review and after consideration and recommendations from the town engineer, determines that the proposed project is exempt from local and land use regulations for the town of Milton in accordance with criteria established in the County of Monroe case, and be it further resolved that no further local permits or approvals are required other than a building permit from the town of Milton for the project. Now therefore be resolved by the town board, town of Milton. Motion for resolution number 82.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion? Councilman Isakson?
Yes.
Councilman Frolich?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr?
Yes.
Councilman Blaisdell?
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander?
Yes, resolution 83, 2023. Resolution to ratify and permit the use of the installation of video surveillance equipment on town property, whereas the town has previously installed and considered and desirous of installing various video surveillance equipment on town property for the purpose of protecting the health, safety, and welfare of the employees and the public, and to better protect and maintain town property, and now therefore resolved, town board does hereby ratify the current existing video surveillance equipment locations within the town and authorizes the use and installation of video surveillance equipment at various other locations on town-owned property, subject to town board authorization for installation of such, and subject to limited access to the viewing of such, and set forth and established by the town board, and it be further resolved that all placement, use, and viewing shall be in compliance with all applicable local, state, and federal laws and guidelines. Now therefore be resolved by the town board, town of Milton. Motion for resolution 83.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Councilman Isaacson.
Yes.
Councilman Froelich.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr.
Yes.
Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander.
Yes. Next, resolution 84 of 2023, resolution to reappoint Gerald Manning to the Board of Assessment Review for a 5-year term commencing October 1st, 2023, whereas the town of Milton Board of Assessment Review is currently a vacancy, and the town has decided to reappoint a member who was previously and recently held the said position, and now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby reappoints Gerald Manning of 320 Maple Avenue, Bolton Spa, New York, 12020, to the Board of Assessment Review for a term 5 years commencing October 1st of 2023 and continuing through the end of September 30th of 2028. Now therefore be it resolved by the town board, town of Milton. Motion for resolution 84.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Councilman Isaacson.
Yes.
Councilman Froelich.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr.
Yes.
Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander.
Yes. Next, resolution 85 of 2023. Resolution to promote employee to a machine equipment operator, whereas the town of Milton's Highway Department has a vacancy in the position of mechanic equipment operator, which needs to be filled and is desirous of filling the vacancy for the machine equipment operator position through a promotion within the department, and now therefore be it resolved by the town board hereby consents and promotes Jacob Monis of White Road, Bolton Spa, New York, 12020 to the position of a grade 5 machine equipment operator, step 1 within the highway department, effective October 1st of 2023. Now therefore be it resolved by the town board, town of Milton. Motion for resolution number 85.
So moved.
Second?
Any discussion? Councilman Isaacson.
Yes.
Councilman Froelich.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr.
Yes.
Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander.
Yes. Next, resolution 86 of 2023, resolution approving budgetary amendments contained in the schedule submitted by the town comptroller, whereas the town board, town of Milton, from time to time finds it necessary to make budgetary amendments within the budget year based upon recommendations from the town comptroller. And now therefore be it resolved, the town hereby approves the budgetary amendments and transfers as described and set forth in the schedule provided and recommended by the town comptroller, which said schedules are attached here to and made a part thereof, and authorizes the town comptroller to proceed with and make the necessary budget amendments as set forth therein. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board, town of Milton, motion for resolution 86.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Councilman Isaacson.
Yes.
Councilman Froelich.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr.
Yes.
Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander.
Yes. Resolution 87, 2023, resolution to approve the the franchise agreement between the town of Milton and Spectrum Northeast LLC, whereas an application has been duly made to the town board, town of Milton by Spectrum Northeast LLC, an indirect subsidiary of Charter Communications Incorporated, a limited liability company organized and existing in good standing under the law of the state of Delaware, doing business at 2604 Seneca Avenue, Niagara Falls, New York, 14305, for the approval of non-exclusive renewal agreement for Charter's cable television franchise for a 10-year period commencing with the date of approval by the Public Service Commission. Resolved that the town board hereby confirms and accepts this franchise renewal agreement and authorizes town supervisor to enter into and execute the franchise agreement with Spectrum Northeast LLC, locally known as Charter Communications, a full and complete copy of which is attached here too, now therefore be it resolved by town board, town of Milton. Motion for resolution 87.
I'll make that motion. I'll second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I just want to address your comments earlier. I don't know if there's anything better in town, to be honest with you. Unfortunately, they're the only thing out there at this time. I have Dish myself, and I lost channels a year ago, and still don't have them back, but they didn't reduce my bill. So, you know, I think they're all having the same problems with the contract disputes and so on. And right now, I think they're the only game.
Well, there are alternatives coming to it.
Right, but they're not here.
They're in the process of doing Verizon Fios and Round Hollow West too. And there's another company, I can never remember.
Green Light.
Green Light is doing pole installations now, so there'll be 2 other companies that are coming in.
I think it's gonna come in the future, but.
Is there actually a different avenue we can go other than Charter? I don't believe so. But there will be competition.
I mean, right now, I think it's a monopoly, but.
Pretty much.
Thank you.
Councilman Isaacson.
Yes.
Councilman Froelich.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr.
Yes.
Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander.
Yes. Next, resolution 88 of 2023, resolution to accept the Trails Grant Award from Saratoga County 2023 Trails Grant Program to the town of Milton, whereas the town of Milton applied for a Trails Grant through Saratoga County Trails Grant Program. Resolve that once the town of Milton provides a voucher or vouchers with documentation of the town's performance of sufficient in-kind services and/or payment of sufficient funds or provisions of materials toward the renovation and/or construction of all above improvements of trail work, the county of Saratoga to provide the town with a check for $10,000 or portions thereof within 30 days after, and it is further resolved that the town supervisor is hereby authorized to execute all necessary documents to pay all amounts needed and required and to do all the things necessary in order to execute this same. Now therefore be resolved by the town board, town of Milton. Motion for resolution number 88.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Is that Brian?
Yes.
Yes.
Any discussion? Councilman Isaacson.
Yes.
Councilman Froelich.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr.
Yes.
Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander.
Yes. Resolution number 89 of 2023, whereas the town board typically approves the town fee schedules at its January organizational meeting. However, from time to time, reviews of the fee schedule throughout the year to determine if changes are necessary and need to be considered and made. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board hereby approves the revised fee schedule, amending the same to include the increase in the rate of the EV charging per kilowatt for EV charging stations to 0.275000 per kilowatt as set forth on the attached revised fee schedule, which is hereby adopted and shall take effect immediately. Now therefore be it resolved by the town board, town of Milton. Motion for resolution 89.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Any discussion? Councilman Isaacson.
Yes.
Councilman Froelich.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr.
Yes.
Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander.
Yes. Next, resolution number 90 of 2023, resolution to establish a farmers market committee and appoint individuals thereto. Whereas the town board is desirous of creating a farmers market committee, and resolved that the town supervisor hereby appoints and the board ratifies the appointment of the following individuals to the town of Milton's Farmer Market Committee effective immediately, which said committee shall serve as at the request and direction of the town supervisor on a voluntary basis with no pay, at which said initial appointment shall be through December 31st of 2023, with committee appointments to be done on a yearly basis thereafter. Committee person number 1, John Froelich, will be the chairman. Committee person number 2 will be Meg Soden. Committee person number 3 will be Amanda Zawada. And committee person number 4 will be Laura Minsky. Now therefore be it resolved that the town board, town of Milton, motion for resolution number 90.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yes, I just want to put out there, I spoke to John about this, and I think it's a great idea. We were talking about it today. I'd love to see residents jump in on this and help out a little bit, if you have any knowledge or any background. It's gonna be a long, I think we agree it's gonna be a long term, right, John, trying to get organized, and I think, I could be wrong, but I think our biggest, problem is gonna be getting the vendors. Because there's so many around now. But I think once we get it off the ground, it's gonna be great for the town. Thank you.
Councilman Isaacson?
Yes.
Councilman Froelich?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr?
Yes.
Councilman Blaisdell?
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander?
Yes, next resolution number 91 of 2023, resolution to hire a new machine equipment operator for the town of Milton Highway Department, whereas the town highway superintendent has advised of the need to hire a new highway department employee to fill a vacancy in the position of machine equipment operator, and now therefore be it resolved, the town board, after due consideration upon the recommendation of the highway superintendent, does hereby appoint and hire Ryan Whithouse of 22 South Hollywood Avenue, Gloversville, New York, 12078, as a machine equipment operator, grade 4, step 1, at the hourly rate of $23.43 per hour, full-time, to start on October 2nd of 2023, with benefits as are provided by the town personnel policy, if any, and was said hire to be conditioned on a 6-month probationary period wherein his performance is and remains acceptable to the town board and the highway superintendent and pursuant to the town policy. Now therefore be it resolved by the town board, town of Milton, motion for resolution 91.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Councilman Isaacson?
Yes.
Councilman Froelich?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr?
Yes.
Councilman Blaisdell?
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander?
Yes, next, department and committee reports. Animal control monthly report for August 2023, total calls 83, white cases 0, dangerous dogs 0, animal seats 5, tickets issued, unlicensed dog 2, running at large 3, nuisance dog 2, totaling 7, respectfully submitted, David Drzezinski, animal control. Next, building department.
Yes, I think that they knew we were gonna have a long meeting because it's fairly short. Dear Supervisor Ostrander and town board members, during the month of June, the building department managed 39 building permits, collected $11,011 in building permit fees, completed 131 construction inspections, fulfilled 31 fire safety inspections, responded to 35 code enforcement violations, a total of 13 certificate of occupancy were issued, along with 26 certificates of compliance, received $18,000 in parks and recs fees.
Thanks, John. Next, buildings and grounds.
Buildings and grounds for the month of August, I did deal with cleanup and setups at the community center, worked on installing a supply line for irrigation for field number 2, repaired gazebo, benches, and control Harrington Park in Rock City, and installed a new fence post and rails. Were needed also remove the old barbecue stand, worked at Trevo Park, repairing and painting picnic tables, a pavilion and sign. I also planted flowers around the sign, built and installed new park benches at the pickleball courts. And during my downtime, I worked with the Parks Department mowing and weeding and weed whacking. Respectfully submitted, Mark Leroy.
Thanks, Barb. Next, comptroller's financial reporting package issued to the town board and is made available for public inspection on our town website. Next, economic development. John, you have anything?
We've had some lengthy presentations, I'll be brief. Recently, I met with the Capital Region Economic Development Council, and we had a nice roundtable discussion regarding economic development. People that attended were supervisors in various towns, as well as other directors of economic development. And we discussed creative ideas and how to attract new businesses to come into our towns. Much of the discussion centered around things that Milton is already doing, which, and particularly now that I saw this reimagining Milton, I like that. I mean, I can see how this is going to tie in beautifully. We have a build-up, expanding our commercial base over here, and a new area being built over here. It's long-term, but I think we are on the right path. One of the key things that they spoke about was infrastructure. Obviously, that's very important. And that's the key to success in attracting new businesses. I know that we are hopefully going to resolve the sewer problem. I know we are addressing the water situation. And we certainly are looking at our roadways right now in terms of roundabouts. So we're doing all the right things right now. So I think we should be happy that we are on the right path. And of course, one of the things that he also spoke about was updating or starting a comprehensive plan. Well, we already have that, and we are reviewing it. So we are making all the right moves right now. So I'm very happy to see that all these things are kind of coming together. Also, I submitted an application to the county for a $7,100 grant for economic promotion of economic development. And one of the ways that we're doing it, I'm working with John Bean from Bean Associates, and we're going to be putting together basically a promotional sales packet for purposes of attracting new business to come into our town. Everything that we've been doing is being done really on a really nice professional, high professional level. And this promotional packet that we're going to be putting together is also going to be very professional looking. So when we approach businesses, we have something to hand them to say, look who we are, look what we're doing. And we anticipate that this will be put together maybe about a month or two, certainly before the end of the year. And once we have that, then we can go around talking to more businesses that I have lined up and hand them something to show how progressive we are, and particularly in view of the fact that we are in the center of the Saratoga County, and we have population in our town being the third largest municipality here, but not only our town, but our surrounding towns as well. And hopefully that's going to offset their requirements. If you always look at traffic count. Well, we have traffic count on our Route 50 corridor, but we don't necessarily have it over here. But I think in putting together a promotional packet like this, we're going to be looking like we are a really progressive town, and we are looking to bring good business in. And if I may also address the Verizon issue, I did speak with some of the representatives from Verizon when they started to do the installation of the conduit over here in Rollins Hollow. Well, I know they did complete Rollins Hollow East. And I think they're working in Rollins Hollow 2 now, John?
West 2.
Yeah. And they are, again...
Pretty well done there. Pretty well done there.
Where? Rollins Hollow?
West 2. Atwood.
2, yeah. Yeah, well, Rollins Hollow West is still working on it. So I guess and they indicated that this is only the conduit that they're putting in right now, not the fiber cable. That'll be coming down the road. And we could not get a particular time frame of when this may be done. So it's a matter of simply waiting and hoping at this point. So that's the best I can tell you.
Thanks, Jack. Next, Highway Department.
Highway Department has begun prep work for roadway reconstruction on Plummer Road. Paving will begin by the end of this week, We will continue with roadway reconstruction until fall pickup begins in mid-October. The Highway Department spring cleanup ended May 15th. Town residents can bring their lawn debris to the transfer station located at 503 Geyser Road. Transfer station hours are Monday through Thursday, 6 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. and Saturdays, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. It is closed on holiday weekends. There is no regular pickup of lawn debris until fall pickup begins October 15th.
Next is Lauren, Mike.
Thank you, Supervisor Ostrander. This month I attended a few meetings to finalize various upcoming activities. Obviously, we took care of the Heritage Award, created the Bond Year this month. We met a couple weeks ago. I met with the War of Mexico Time Capsule Committee again to finalize the ceremony on Sunday, October 22nd, 2023, which all members of the community are invited to attend. It's at the Ballston Spa Village Cemetery, 1 o'clock. We'll be starting a parade out of the middle school, going to this actual site, and we'll have some speakers there. And I actually collected some essays from the students over at the middle school, which we're reproducing right now to put in a time capsule, a new time capsule. There'll be a couple other, there'll be some music there, and we'll be firing the cannon off, basically reenacting the original time capsule installation that occurred in the 1800s. So, I also met with this, I'm actually meeting with the Saratoga County Committee tomorrow for the 250th. We're finalizing plans for a weekend at the Saratoga Battlefield for reenactments, encampments, if anybody wants to attend to those things. If the budget doesn't pass through the federal government, we'll be actually doing it in Schuylerville, Canal Lock number 5. Again, that'll be October 7th and 8th. I also placed a ceremony at the battlefield, the Sons of the American Revolution and Daughters of the American Revolution on September 19th. I continue preparing signs to be placed in various cemeteries throughout the town. Due to budgetary constraints, I can't have any more made this year, so I'm going to put them off till next year, Dave. So we'll do it in the spring. I'll have 4 more signs made. I've already got them all designed and sent them over to Patty. So I'll be putting those up this year, and I expect to have all done within the next 3 years. So it'll be 18 signs altogether, as long as I can still get money from somebody. So that's about all I have for right now. Thanks very much.
Mike, one last.
Oh, one more thing is the trivia night. It's sign up is still available for anybody who wants to take part in it. Supervisor Ostrander signed up. Highway Department's supposed to be signing up soon. They just did. I've actually harassed several business owners like Albert Ice, and I tried to get them to put a team together. I actually hit the stomping ground while they were here too, to try to get a team from the stomping ground. Anybody who wants to attend, it's going to be at Dozers again, October 17th, 7 o'clock, Revolutionary War Trivia Night. So get a couple friends together and come over and hang out and answer questions and I guess have some food. Thank you very much. Bye.
Next, Justice Court.
For the month of August, fines were $2,729, surcharges $2,277, civil fees $382, for a total of $5,388.
Thank you, Barb. Next, planning and zoning, right?
The planning board met on September the 13th. There was a public hearing held for 209 Stone Church Road, which is also referred to as Milton Solar. They're now in compliance with the 10% requirement, so no variance is needed. The public hearing was closed and a conditional approval for their site plan and conditional approval for their special use permit were granted. 709 Route 29, which is Saratoga Villas, there was an amended site plan approval. They're looking to remove units, replace them with new units, and put them in a separate location, so there'll be no change in the total number. Further discussion around the Milltown Center for their site plan review. Planning board has been established as a lead agency, and continued discussions will happen at future meetings. And lastly, 202 North Line Road for a site plan review and special use permit, which has been before the board for some time. The board indicated that a new traffic study is needed before they can proceed, so there is no action taken. And the zoning board will be meeting tomorrow at 7 p.m.
Thank you, Brian. Lisa, you have anything? No. Okay, thank you. Town clerk.
All right, so for the month of August, we had 13 marriage licenses, 6 certified marriage certificates, 59 certified death certificates, 1 certified birth certificate, 10 FOIL in search of records requests, 178 dog licensing, 59 online dog licensing, 255 hunting and fishing license, and 7 pavilion and community center rentals, with the town share being $5,902.85.
Thank you, Brenda. Next, board member discussion on new business. The Town of Milton trunk or treat is
The 21st.
the 21st from
11:30 to 1.
11:30 to 1. Next, the town was awarded, which I explained earlier, a $10,000 in matching grant fund through Saratoga County Trails Grant Program to be complete the trailhead improvement for the Woods Hollow Nature Preserve. Board member discussion on any old business. The status of Woods Hollow Nature Preserve. You know, we just did a dam assessment review for the nature preserve. And the status of the elected official salary evaluation is tentative. We should have it back shortly completed, so we will give you that at the next board meeting. Next, public comment number 2.
Yeah, just one thing.
Yes,
I don't know if we mentioned it, the presentations you saw tonight will be up on our website for everybody to look at. Probably within a week or so, we've got a few things that we're tweaking on it, so you'll be able to look at it, that you'll have a better idea.
Thanks, John. Next, public comment number 2 on any town business.
Thank you.
Public comment number 2, town business. Tim, there.
Good evening, Mr. Supervisor, members of the town board. My name is Tim Bantham, 32 Birch Tree Lane. Tonight we had a look into the future, and I have to say I am very excited about what may be the future of Milton. It's a very exciting time to be a citizen of Milton. My hat goes off to Delaware Engineering for doing such a good job presenting the projects tonight, really giving us a look into what may be possible, and I have to say I was blown away by what can be possible with the open space out here. What's top of mind to me as I watch that is how can we incorporate more clean energy into this project, and of course how would we be able to fund such a project. As far as funding goes, what comes to mind to me is opportunities for grants so that we can keep the burden on the taxpayers in the community as low as possible. So I think back to what we heard last month when we had a presentation about a climate smart community. So I'm wondering, has the board considered what we heard last month? Have you discussed it? And has there been any movement in considering implementing some of those plans that we heard about?
There hasn't been a discussion amongst us. No, I can tell you that. I did reach out to Milton. I got some information how they're working out, and I got some positive feedback from them. So I'm personally just checking on the other municipalities that are in that, just to make sure that that's something that we want to get into moving forward.
Okay, I appreciate that. I think my takeaway is it seemed like there was some opportunity for some grants there without too much effort to be put into it. So I just wanted to publicly support continuing to keep that at the forefront. The second thing I wanted to mention tonight is I wanted to show my public appreciation for Mr. Berrubi's presentation tonight, generously offering his land to the community. I see it as a win-win for both parties. I don't know if there's any opposition to this, but as far as I'm concerned, the more opportunity we have to maintain green space in the community and have things like parks, I would love to have a place to go that's wooded to walk my dog, in addition to my beloved Woods Hollow. So I just wanted to publicly state that I appreciate what Mr. Berrubi is offering. I wanted to ask the board to consider this as an option as well. Thank you.
I think you should take advantage, Tim, of that. I know that Lenny said that he has no restrictions on anybody that wants to go up there and take a look and walk through. I think you should really,
I will.
it's a beautiful piece.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, ma'am.
Christine Fitzpatrick, 31 Chapman Street. Thank you for the opportunity to present public comment. I also, along with Tim, was very excited by what I saw today and wanted to thank you and thank the people who put this together for this plan for reimagining Milton. One of the things that I wanted to comment about, one of the things I was happy to see was that there was, and one of the things I want to comment on that I'm always concerned about is public transportation. I have been a lifelong public transportation user since the age of 13, where I've used it for school, recreation, and my entire working career. That bus shelter, which is being put into the plan, is for the upstate transit, the NX buses now run by CPTA, which run down to Albany. That's one of the uses for it. I rode that bus for 25 years. I was happy to see that it was included in the plan. I certainly could have used bus shelters in many situations, standing out in the freezing cold on February mornings. The other thing I want to talk to you about is that there used to be a bus that came down, the 451 bus that used to come down Rowland Street, make a right on Geyser Road, and then go back out to Route 50. I used that bus a lot. I used it for a hair salon, for physical therapy, to come to the Hannaford, and I talk to people on public transportation. I always have. These are my people, if you will. There were many people there who were using the bus to access the businesses the same way I was in Milton, in the town of Milton. Now, if you want, and it certainly seems that you're well on the way of making this a Milton town center, I think that you want to encourage public transportation of that kind into the center. It is also, it was discontinued. I'm sure that is not your fault. I'm sure I know it was discontinued, this 451 coming down Rowland Street, making a right onto Geyser by CDTA, probably because there weren't enough people. It was discontinued during the pandemic. My experience with public transportation is, however, you have to be patient with it. It's one of those things, if you build it, they will come. People know more about it. It's better for the environment. There were many times I rode along Geyser Road that I saw as the ridership grew, because I did this for years, so I saw it myself coming from some of the developments on either side of Rowland Street. And as you know, you have, I have sidewalk envy for your sidewalks all along Geyser Road, which is very, very good. It's wonderful for making it a walkable community, and I also compliment you on your crosswalks. I'm sure if you raise this issue with CDTA, you have, as a municipality, you have influence over CDTA if you were interested in bringing this route back into line. You have a great deal of influence. In the village of Ballston Spa, they just managed to move, or in the process of moving, a bus stop, which is sort of the moral equivalent of parting the Red Sea in terms of, but municipalities really do have some input, so I would ask you to please look into it. I think it's better for economic development, it's better for the environment, and there are many Milton town residents who I think could use it, and as we age, I think there'll be more people using it. Also, if you're building out these great parks, young people could use it if they're of a certain age without relying on their parents to drive them everywhere. I loved Mary Beth's comment about the almighty car. It doesn't have to be centered on the almighty car. I thought I was the only one who used that term on a consistent basis. But the other thing is for public transportation people, you know, with all of your traffic calming, we're a pretty tame lot. We're used to waiting, so you don't have to do, you know, really we're not that demanding in terms of what we need, but I would very much appreciate if, as you're looking at your comprehensive plan, as you're going forward with this very exciting reimagining Milton, that you give this a consideration. And the bus line is it was called the 451, and it went straight down Rollins Street, made a right onto Geyser Road, then went back to Route 50, through the Y, and then through Saratoga and ended up at the train station. It still exists, but it starts at the Saratoga Y. So Saratoga matters, the rest of us don't. And it was one of the things where anybody who used public transportation, who lived in the town of Milton, or certainly I could in the village of Ballston Spa, I could get anywhere in the United States by public transportation from my home. Walk to the bus stop, get on that bus, get to the train, get to airports, whatever. So it's really very important, and I would really look to you if you could make some effort to talk to CDTA and bring it back. I have talked to them myself, but you know, I'm just one rider. You have power because you already have. You're already accommodating them in some way right here in your center. I also am very supportive and very appreciative of the offer of the gentleman for the woodlot. I think that's a great idea, and maybe we'll get some public transportation to it, and I can walk my imaginary dog. Thank you.
I wanted to say, a lot of our seniors miss that.
Yes.
Because they used to pick it up at the apartments and come up to town
Yep.
center, and I cringe when I see them walking back and forth on Rollins Street on that gravel or
Right.
on our sidewalks.
Right.
And so
Yeah. I took my life in my hands many days. Yeah, thank you. And yes, that's very important.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yes.
Hi, Michelle Judah, 34 Van Tassel Lane. I just want to echo a little and build upon. That was a great presentation. I was really glad to be here tonight and to be able to see that. It's got me very excited. Thank you to all of you for your part of reimagining Milton and thinking of our future. That visual was really great, and I hope a lot of people do view it on the website and start talking about it. I have to echo what Christina's saying. We have a son with a disability who currently is living in an apartment going to SCC, but we'd like him to be able to come back to this community, and that bus has been very worrisome to me that it's gone. It was one of the reasons we liked being here, is that we were on a bus line, and it would help him have a little bit more independence, want him to go to work, you know, be a full member of the community. So I really want to echo what Christine said about that. When I was looking at the presentation, again, thinking not just young families, but aging in place is so important. So would just ask that there be some thought to, you know, some of that with the central parking looked, at least from the presentation, like long walks to some of the facilities and the features that would be there. So there might need to be some parking, handicap parking built in so that people could access that a little bit better. And just want to also just throw out a pitch, obviously with all that happened here at Town Hall, and you know, we weren't quite prepared for a new town hall, so had to rebuild what we have here. But I think part of reimagining Milton is if we could get some funds to really think about improving the ADA accessibility in this building, if this is going to continue to exist. I'm sure it'll be built into the buildings that you're going to be creating, but you know, things like the door openers, and there's certainly been members of the public who have talked about that it's difficult for them to even get up here to participate in the meetings sometimes. So I think that should be part of reimagining Milton, is making, you know, this space a little bit more accessible to people. Thank you.
Michelle, you did realize that we did put the door openers in, right?
Oh, I did not see that, no, I did not.
They're installed.
Okay, good, all right, excellent, thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, Mike, how are you?
Complain about the raise in the electric rate, aren't you?
Thank you and good evening. Mike Iacolucci, 9 Russell Street. Just a couple quick points, some of them repetitive, so bear with me. First, I wanted to thank Mike and the Historic Structures Committee. The Heritage Award presentation was fantastic, and knowing that Stomping Grounds is getting that recognition is terrific. Thanks as well for your work on the 250th committee. And I apologize, I will not be in town for the trivia night, but I bet that will be a lot of fun, so I hope you all enjoy it. With Mr. Garubi's proposal, several months ago I thought I heard a mention of this possibility without a reference to any name at that point. And my note-taking is not always good. I had written down that it was a 120-acre parcel, but tonight I heard basically 30 acres. So 30, okay, thank you.
It was once part of a larger parcel. It was once part of a larger parcel, 120 acres, years ago.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Mike, you did the presentation on that.
I did the research on
Right.
it, and that's how I discovered, yeah. It was what's like part of a larger parcel.
Okay, good, thank you. And again, I think it's a wonderful opportunity that he's presenting. I could not read all of the numbers that he had up on his one slide with various figures. I'm guessing that there will be a little bit of a challenge in reaching a consensus on evaluation. Just thinking about what he said in terms of his desire to do this based on recommendations from the financial plan. So I wish you luck with completing that transaction, because I think it would be terrific for the town to have. Delaware Engineering, thanks very much for the presentation, and board, thanks for, and Amanda or Brenda, whoever's going to get it on the website, for making it available. I think it will be important for people to know it's there and have a chance to look at it and provide more input. So thank you for all those things. Last point, just very quickly, Mr. Maloney has left. I was delighted to hear him talk in terms of economic development and the idea of a progressive community. And I'll just repeat something a couple other speakers have said. To many of us, the idea of the climate smart community is an excellent way to move us further in that progressive tradition of communities around the state. Thank you.
Mike, I just want to say thank you, because you are one of our residents that's on the budget committee, and thank you for all your time.
My pleasure.
Anyone else? Darlene?
Hi, Darlene McGraw. You guys might think I'm crazy because I rode my trike all the way from Half Moon to come here. Well, first of all, I'm covering my butt. I am not an attorney. Speak with Mr. Craig if you have any legal advice, not me. I went to a couple seminars recently, one from the Rockefeller Institute on clean energy, and I will feel free to speak with you guys about different ways to figure out how to help your town this town become more clean energy. The town of Clifton Park has been doing many things. I am a resident of the town of Half Moon, but I've been also helping the town of Clifton Park become more clean energy efficient, along with helping them with NYSERDA. I wanted to thank Delaware Energy Engineering about all the reimagining Milton. I wanted to ask if they're still gonna keep Suzanne's playground and help that so it's still there, at least in memory. I wanted to figure out, are we gonna have special parking for bikes? Is it going to be ADA accessible, such as having picnic tables that are a little longer at one end? We are very fortunate. We do have a place called Unlimited Potential that has people that have disabilities that do make these picnic tables just right down the road from here. And these are people with disabilities that make these accessible picnic tables. I understand that you would have to go through the bidding process, but that is just one way that you can help people. I also wanted to come up with another thing that I mentioned at a county meeting. Sandwich boards and other items such as trash cans on public rights of way. They're wrong to do that. It's very unsafe. I do not know what the town code in Milton has, but if it's okay to do that, it's wrong that the town says that it's okay to do that, because it's wrong, it's unsafe, and I'm more talking about the Route 50 corridor, but any parts of the town. And I'm also talking about any parts in general of anywheres. I mentioned this at a county meeting, because sometimes when I'm out on my bike, I have to use the shoulder, when we have a shoulder, in certain areas, and we gotta wave in and out like a drunk driver, because people leave sandwich board signs, they leave their trash cans, they're only leaving there for a little bit, but they leave those out on the public rights of way. Their shoulder is a public right of way. It's for those of us that need to use the shoulder. And I feel that it's wrong that people leave stuff on the shoulder when that's for the public right of way. Also, the public rights of way guidelines just got newly adopted. So I would also suggest that you guys take a look into that. It's called PROWAG, Public Rights of Way Accessibility Guidelines. They just got adopted into the Federal Register. That's why I said, please ask Mr. Craig for legal advice, not me, I'm not an attorney. Just stuff I like to read, so please look into that. Bike fixer-upper stations, those are a great thing to have. They're awesome. I used to be part of a farmer's market. One thing that truly invites people to come to your farmer's market, once you guys figure out how it works, see if they can have, if Department of Health and other people, agricultural markets would let you have your vendors that accept SNAP. Because I do come from Half Moon all the way up to Saratoga Springs just so I can buy my fruits, veggies, and other, meats and stuff and use my food stamps so that I can buy local food. And I do pay my cash just to come here to this town and neighboring areas to go to my farmers. And I love the town of Milton. It's city-ish, but yet it's so beautiful. And I would suggest maybe a sign on Route 50 saying, welcome to the town of Milton. People don't even know that you're not in Ballston Spa, Saratoga Springs, you're in Milton. It's so beautiful. Thanks so much for giving me the time to speak.
Darlene, Suzanne Lyle Park is not going anywhere, just so you know. It'll still be there.
Well, I appreciate that, because she's missing, but she's definitely not gone.
And Supervisor Barrett and Tolleson need all the help they can get from you.
I help everybody as much as I can. Everybody gets my help. I'm here for everybody. Thank you.
Anyone else? Anybody via Zoom? With that said, public comment number 2 is now closed. Executive session, the board looking in executive session.
I'll make it as quick as possible.
Okay.
Promise.
Requesting executive session, just gotta give a reason. Barb, what's the reason, Jim?
The reason is to discuss a particular personnel employee. Okay.
Discussion?
You gotta make a motion, right? Motion.
John, second.
Okay.
Second, as soon as you make it.
Thank you.
Any discussion? Councilwoman Isakson?
Yes.
Councilman Flores?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kerr?
Yes.
Councilman Blaisdell? Supervisor Ostrander?
Yes.
All the peeps left.
Yes.
Do you know
Are we
that is
just
the
gonna,
most that bathroom has seen? That is the most action at once.
a motion to adjourn, can it just be yay and nay? Yeah.
I'll make a motion to adjourn. Who's in a second?
No, first you have to move, first
Come
go
out of
back
session.
from
Back in,
executive
okay,
session.
make a motion, we come back into session.
Okay,
You all sit down, I'll turn on the microphones.
okay, let's.
Recording in progress.
Yeah, I just got one.
And a second?
Second.
Okay.
Brenda, can I just, before we vote, so I got a letter from the Association of Towns, just so everybody knows,
Oh,
I just-
wait, no, first we have to
This is
finish
sewer,
voting
sir.
to come
Okay,
back into,
all right,
Next week, when there's somebody here.
Councilman Isakson.
Yes.
Councilman Frolich.
Yes.
Councilwoman Kern.
Yes.
Councilman Blaisdell.
Yes.
Supervisor Ostrander.
yes.
Okay, now,
Just before we close the meeting, Association of Towns sent me a letter. Barb, she completed the Association of Towns Certified Town Official Program. They endorsed her certificate, and I just want to say, I mean, that's a huge accomplishment. And I just want to say, congratulations, Barb.
Thank you.
Did you double check that to make sure she didn't forge it?
They kept the track of it down in Albany.
now you can do your motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Yeah, motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Well, let's just leave it left here.